The human ship was very small. It floated through the darkness of space like a tiny stone thrown into a great ocean. All around it, massive warships moved slowly, watching, waiting. The warships were beautiful and deadly. Each one was bigger than a small city. The human ship looked like a toy next to them. Inside the ship, a man named Ho sat quietly in his chair. He was looking out the window at the planet below. The jewel of the galaxy, a world of crystal towers and silver oceans and purple skies. He had seen pictures of it before, but pictures did not show how beautiful it really was. "Ambassador, we will land in 10 minutes, said a voice behind him. Ho turned and looked at his assistant. Her name was Mi Young. She was a small woman with kind eyes and a worried face. She had been worried since they left Earth 3 weeks ago. She was worried now. "Thank you, Mi Young," Ho said. His voice was calm and steady. "Is everyone ready?" "Yes, Ambassador, but—" She stopped and bit her lip. "But what? Are you sure about this? They have never accepted a meeting with humans before. We are the first. What if something goes wrong?" Ho smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "Something always goes wrong. That is why we prepare. That is why we stay calm. That is why we remember who we are." Mi Young nodded, but she did not look less worried. The ship began to descend through the purple clouds. As they dropped lower, Ho could see the capital city spreading out below them. It was called Eternal Light, and it was the most beautiful city in the known galaxy. The buildings were made of crystal that caught the light and threw it back in 1,000 colors. The streets were paved with white stone that glowed softly. Gardens floated in the air on invisible platforms. They had built this city over 10,000 years. They had time. They always had time. While humans lived for less than 100 years could live for thousands. A child born today might still be alive when Earth's sun died. This was why the meeting today was so important. Humans were new to the galaxy. They had only been traveling among the stars for 200 years. They were young, weak, and alone. They needed friends. They needed allies. And the Empire was the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. The ship landed softly in a wide plaza. Through the window, Ho could see a group of waiting for them. They were tall and thin, with silver skin that shone like metal. Their eyes glowed with soft purple light. They wore long robes made of fabric that seemed to flow like water. "Remember," Ho said to his team as they prepared to leave the ship, "we are guests here. We will be respectful. We will be patient. We will not show anger no matter what happens." "No matter what?" asked one of his officers, a young man named One. "No matter what," Ho repeated. "They will test us. They will try to make us angry or afraid. That is how they judge other species. If we lose control, they will think we are not worth their time. If we stay calm, they might respect us." The door opened and warm air rushed into the ship. It smelled like flowers and something sweet that Ho could not name. He took a deep breath, straightened his uniform, and walked out into the light. The greeting party watched him approach. Their faces showed nothing. No welcome, no hostility, just empty observation. They were studying him like scientists studying a strange insect. A tall stepped forward. He was older than the others, with lines on his silver face and deeper purple in his eyes. "I am High Minister," he said. His voice was like music, beautiful and cold. "I welcome you to on behalf of His Majesty the King." Ho bowed politely, not too deep, not too shallow. He had practiced this bow 100 times. "Thank you, High Minister. I am Ambassador Ho of the United Earth Government. I am honored to be here." "Honored?" The minister repeated the word like he was tasting it. "Yes, you should be. Few species are allowed to set foot on our sacred ground. Fewer still are allowed to stand before our king. We are grateful for the opportunity." The minister looked at Ho for a long moment. His glowing eyes moved up and down, studying every detail of the human's face, his body, his uniform. "You are smaller than I expected," the minister said finally. "Your species is quite compact." Some of the other made soft sounds. It might have been laughter. Ho smiled. We find our size to be very practical. The minister raised one thin eyebrow. Practical, yes, I suppose it would be. Less food required, smaller spaces needed, very efficient. We like to think so. They walked through the crystal streets toward the palace. Everywhere they went, stopped to stare. Some pointed, some whispered. Children pressed their faces against windows to get a better look at the strange visitors. Ho walked with his head high and his steps steady. He did not look around like a tourist. He did not show fear or amazement. He walked like a man who belonged exactly where he was. Inside, he was nervous. His heart was beating fast. His palms were sweating. He knew that everything depended on this meeting. The future of humanity could be decided in the next few hours. But outside, he showed nothing. His face was calm, his voice was steady, his eyes were clear. This was his gift. This was why Earth had chosen him for this mission. Ho could feel everything and show nothing. He could burn inside and still be ice outside. The palace was even more impressive than the city. It rose into the sky like a frozen waterfall, all curves and spirals and impossible angles. Light poured through walls that seemed to be made of solid crystal. Music played from somewhere, though there were no musicians visible. They walked through hallways lined with statues of ancient kings and queens. Each statue was 3 times the size of a human. Each face looked down with cold pride. Finally, they reached the throne room. The doors were 20 feet tall and covered with gold and jewels. They opened slowly, silently, revealing the space beyond. The throne room was vast. The ceiling was so high that clouds actually floated inside it. The floor was made of something that looked like frozen starlight, and at the far end, on a throne carved from a single black crystal, sat King. He was ancient. Even by standards, he was old. His silver skin had darkened to gray, and his purple eyes had faded to pale lavender, but there was power in him still. Ho could feel it from across the room. Beside the king stood a young woman. She was beautiful, even by standards. Her silver skin was perfect and bright. Her purple eyes were vivid and sharp. Her long white hair fell past her shoulders like a frozen river. Princess, 19 years old, heir to the throne. She looked at Ho and smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who had already decided that she did not like what she was seeing. Ho walked forward until he stood before the throne. Then he bowed, deeper this time, showing respect to the king. "Your Majesty," he said, "I am Ambassador Ho of Earth. I bring greetings from my people and a proposal for friendship between our worlds." The king nodded slowly. "Rise, human, let us hear what you have to say." And so the meeting began. The throne room was silent as Ho finished speaking. He had talked for nearly an hour. He had explained everything about Earth. He had described human technology, human culture, human dreams. He had offered trade agreements, scientific partnerships, and cultural exchanges. He had offered friendship. King listened to all of it without saying a word. His old face showed nothing. His faded purple eyes watched Ho like a hawk watching a mouse. When Ho finished, the silence continued. The hundreds of nobles gathered in the throne room waited. The air felt heavy with expectation. Finally, the king spoke. "You have said many things, human. You have made many offers, but I am old and I am tired. I will let my daughter respond to your proposal." He turned to Princess, who had been standing beside him the entire time. She had not moved. She had not spoken. She had just watched Ho with that strange smile on her face. Now she stepped forward. Her silver robes flowed behind her like liquid metal. Her footsteps made no sound on the crystal floor. "Ambassador Ho," she said. Her voice was soft and sweet like honey. "Thank you for your interesting presentation." "You are welcome, Your Highness," Ho said. He kept his voice neutral. He could sense something coming, something dangerous. "I have studied your species," continued. I have read your history, I have watched your broadcasts, I have learned everything there is to know about humanity. I am glad to hear that. Are you, tilted her head to one side like a curious bird, are you really glad? Because I am not sure you will like what I have learned. A murmur went through the crowd. The nobles leaned forward, eager to hear what the princess would say. What have you learned, Your Highness? Ho asked. His voice remained calm. Smiled whiter, it was not a nice smile. I have learned that humans are a violent species, she said. In the last 500 years alone, you have fought 2 world wars. You killed millions of your own kind. You built weapons that could destroy your entire planet. You nearly used them. Ho did not respond, he just listened. I have learned that humans are a greedy species, continued. You destroyed your own environment for profit. You poisoned your rivers. You burned your forests. You filled your skis with smoke. You nearly killed your own world before you even left it. Still, Ho said nothing. His face was like stone. And I have learned that humans are a short-lived species. His voice grew colder. Your lives are over in less than 100 years. You are born, you grow, you breed, you die, all in the blink of an eye. You are like, what is the word? She pretended to think. Ah, yes, insects. You are like insects. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Some of the nobles did not even try to hide their amusement. They covered their mouths with their hands, but their eyes showed their joy. Mi Young, standing behind Ho, felt her face grow hot with anger. She wanted to step forward. She wanted to defend her people. But Ho had told her to stay silent, so she stayed silent. Her hands were shaking. So here is my question, Ambassador said. She walked closer to Ho until she was standing right in front of him. She was much taller than him. She looked down at him like he was a child. Why should we partner with insects? Why should we share our knowledge with creatures who will be dead before they can use it? Why should we waste our time on a species that has achieved nothing in its tiny, meaningless existence? The laughter was louder now. The nobles were not even pretending to hide it. They thought this was wonderful entertainment. The great princess, putting the primitive human in his place. Ho looked up at the princess. His eyes met hers. She expected to see fear there. She expected to see shame. She expected to see anger that she could use against him. She saw none of these things. His eyes were calm, peaceful, almost sad. Your Highness, Ho said, you have said many things about humanity. Some of them are true. We have made mistakes. We have fought wars. We have damaged our world. These are facts that we do not deny. Then you admit that you are primitive savages. I admit that we are imperfect. Ho's voice was steady. But I would ask you to consider something. You have lived for 19 years. In terms, you are a child. You have seen nothing. You have experienced nothing. You have learned everything you know from books and broadcasts. Smile flickered. What is your point? My point is that knowledge from books is not the same as wisdom from experience. You have read about human wars, but you have not seen how we rebuild after them. You have read about human violence, but you have not seen how we love and protect each other. You have read about our short lives, but you have not understood what that means. What does it mean? Asked mockingly. It means we do not have time for hatred. It means we do not have time for cruelty. Every moment is precious to us because we have so few of them. We learn faster, work harder, and love deeper because we know our time is limited. Ho paused. The room was silent again. Even the mocking nobles had stopped laughing. You call us insects, Ho continued. Perhaps you are right. Our lives are short, but insects build things too. They create hives and colonies that last for generations. They work together in ways that larger creatures cannot understand, and sometimes a single insect can change the world. He looked around the room at all the watching faces. I did not come here to beg for your approval. I came here to offer partnership. If you do not want it, that is your choice. I will not argue. I will not plead. I will simply leave. Laughed, but it sounded forced now. You will leave just like that. Just like that. And go where? Who else would want you? We are the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Without us, you are nothing. Ho nodded slowly. Perhaps, or perhaps there are others who see value in us, others who are not so quick to judge, others who understand that the galaxy is large and that every species has something to offer. No one will partner with you, said firmly. You are too weak, too small, too primitive. Maybe. Ho's voice was very quiet now. But I want you to remember this moment, Your Highness. I want you to remember the day you called humanity insects. I want you to remember how you laughed at us, because the galaxy has a way of surprising people, and one day you might wish you had chosen differently. His eyes narrowed. Is that a threat, Ambassador? No, Your Highness, it is simply the truth. Everything changes, power shifts, empires rise and fall. Today you are strong, tomorrow, he shrugged. Who knows? He turned to face King. Your Majesty, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I see now that is not interested in partnership with humanity. I accept this decision. I will not waste any more of your time. He bowed one last time. I wish you well. Then without another word he turned and walked away. His team followed him. Their footsteps echoed through the silent throne room. Behind them, Princess stood frozen. She had expected him to argue. She had expected him to beg. She had expected to feel the joy of victory. Instead, she felt something strange, something uncomfortable. She felt like she had made a mistake. But that was impossible. She was never wrong. Was she? The walk back to the ship was long and quiet. Ho led his team through the crystal corridors of the palace, past the golden statues, past the floating gardens, past the countless who stopped to stare and whisper. Mi-young walked beside him. Her eyes were red from holding back tears. Her hands were still shaking with anger. Ambassador, she whispered, what do we do now? The mission has failed. Earth was counting on this alliance. Ho did not answer immediately. He kept walking, his steps steady and calm. The mission has not failed, he said finally. It has changed. Changed how? You will see. Behind them in the throne room, Princess was accepting congratulations from the nobles. They crowded around her, praising her wisdom, her strength, her clever words. They told her how brilliantly she had handled the primitive human. They told her that she would be a great queen someday. Smiled and accepted their praise. But something felt wrong, something she could not explain. The human ambassador had not behaved the way she expected. He had not begged. He had not shown fear. He had not even shown anger. He had just left. Like he did not care, like rejection meant nothing to him. King watched his daughter from his throne. His old eyes were troubled. He had seen many things in his long life. He had seen species rise and fall. He had seen empires crumble to dust. And he had learned to recognize danger in unexpected forms. The human ambassador was dangerous, not because he was strong or powerful, but because he was patient, because he was calm, because he could look at insult and rejection and simply walk away. These were not the qualities of an insect. These were the qualities of a survivor. The king said quietly. The princess turned to face her father. Yes, father. Come here. She walked to the throne, still smiling from all the praise. Did I do well? She asked. Did I protect our empire from the primitive humans? The king was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice soft and tired. Do you know why I agreed to meet with the humans in the first place? Frowned because they asked, because protocol required it. No, I agreed because I wanted to see what kind of people they were. I wanted to understand them. And now you understand them. They are weak and pathetic. Do you really think so? The king's faded eyes looked at his daughter with something that might have been sadness. I saw something different. I saw a man who traveled across the galaxy to ask for friendship. I saw a man who stood before our mockery and did not break. I saw a man who walked away with his dignity intact. His dignity? Laughed. He has no dignity, he is an insect. Perhaps, but this insect has just flown away, and I wonder where he will go next. Outside, Ho and his team had reached their ship. The guards who had escorted them stood at a distance, watching. One of them, a young soldier with uncertain eyes, stepped forward. "Ambassador," he said quietly, "I wanted to say, not all of us agree with the princess. Some of us think humans are interesting. Some of us would have liked to learn from you." Ho turned to look at the young soldier. "What is your name?" "Sir." Ho nodded. "Thank you for telling me this. I will remember your kindness. Will you come back someday?" Ho smiled, but it was a sad smile. "I do not think so, but the galaxy is full of surprises. Nothing is forever, not even the Empire." He reached out and briefly touched the young soldier's shoulder. "Be well, be kind. The future belongs to those who are kind." Then he turned and walked up the ramp into his ship. The door closed behind him. Inside, his team was waiting. They looked tired and defeated. Mi-young was sitting in a corner, staring at the floor. One was packing back and forth, his hands clenched into fists. "What now?" one asked. His voice was angry. "We came all this way for nothing. The princess made fools of us in front of the entire court. The whole galaxy will hear about this. No one will ever take humans seriously again." Ho sat down in the captain's chair and took a deep breath. "Are we going home?" Mi-young asked quietly. "No," Ho said, "not yet." Everyone looked at him in surprise. "There is another planet nearby," Ho explained. "The home world of the people. They are smaller than the, less powerful, but they are intelligent and they have been looking for allies." The one frowned. "I have heard of them. They are rivals of. The two empires have been competing for thousands of years." "Exactly." Ho's eyes showed a spark of something. "And I think they will be very interested to hear about what happened today." "You mean, we are going to offer them the same partnership?" "Yes." "But the just rejected us. We were humiliated. Why would they want us?" Ho leaned back in his chair. "Think about it. They have watched for thousands of years. They have seen arrogance. They have experienced cruelty. And today they watched reject a potential ally. They watched the princess call an entire species insects." He smiled again, and this time there was something fierce in it. "They are not like they do not judge by age or size. They judge by actions. And our actions today showed something important." "What did they show?" Mi-young asked. "They showed that humans do not beg. Humans do not break. When we are insulted, we do not respond with anger. We respond with dignity. And then we move on to better things." The ship's engines hummed to life. Slowly, it lifted off from the crystal plaza and rose into the purple sky. Below them, the city of eternal light grew smaller. The crystal towers shrank to tiny sparkles. The floating gardens became dots of green. "I want everyone to remember this moment," Ho said quietly. "Remember how we were treated here. Remember how it felt, because this is not the end. This is the beginning." "The beginning of what?" Mi-young asked. Ho looked out the window at the stars. "The beginning of humanity's real journey. The thought they were ending our story today. They were wrong. They were just opening a new chapter." The ship accelerated, leaving behind. Ahead of them, the stars stretched out like an infinite ocean of possibility. Back in the palace, Princess watched the human ship disappear into the sky. She felt a moment of satisfaction. The insects were gone. Order was restored. But as she turned away from the window, she noticed something strange. Her father was still watching the sky. His old face was lined with worry. "Father, what is wrong?" The king did not answer for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "I wonder," he said, "if we will regret this day." Laughed. "Regret? Why would we regret sending away insects?" But the king did not laugh. He just kept staring at the sky, watching the place where the human ship had disappeared. "Because the galaxy has a way of remembering," he said softly, "and nothing stays the same forever. Nothing." Rolled her eyes and walked away. Her father was old. He worried too much. The humans were gone. That was all that mattered. She did not know it yet, but her father was right. The galaxy would remember this day. And so would humanity. 7 years passed. In human time, that was almost a decade. Children grew into teenagers. Young adults started families. The world changed and changed again. In time, 7 years was nothing. A short nap, a brief pause between meals. The same nobles wore the same robes and attended the same parties. Nothing seemed different. But everything was different. The first signs came slowly. Trade ships from distant planets stopped coming too. Orders for goods were canceled. Invitations to galactic conferences stopped arriving. At first, the nobles did not worry. "It is temporary," they said. "A small misunderstanding. Things will return to normal soon." But things did not return to normal. They got worse. Princess first noticed the problem when she tried to buy a new ship. Her old one was perfectly fine, but she wanted something newer, faster, more beautiful. She contacted her usual supplier, a merchant guild from the outer systems. The response she received shocked her. "We are sorry, Your Highness, but we are no longer doing business with. We have signed an exclusive agreement with the Human Alliance. We cannot sell to their competitors." The Human Alliance had heard that name before. Everyone had heard it. In the 7 years since the humans left, they had formed partnerships with a dozen different species. They were just the first. After them came the, and many others. Each partnership made humanity stronger. Each friendship opened new doors. The small, weak, primitive species that had mocked was now at the center of a growing network of allies, and was on the outside looking in. "This is outrageous," stormed into her father's chambers. The old king was sitting by the window, wrapped in blankets despite the warm air. He had grown weaker in recent years. His silver skin had turned gray. His purple eyes had faded to pale violet. "What is wrong, daughter?" he asked tiredly. "The merchant guilds refuse to trade with us. The scientific academies will not share their research. Even the entertainment networks are blocking our access to galactic broadcasts." Was packing back and forth, her silver robes swirling around her. "It is all because of the humans. They are turning everyone against us." "Are they?" The king's voice was soft. "Or are they simply offering everyone something better?" "Better? What could insects offer that we cannot?" The king sighed. He had tried to explain this to his daughter many times. She never listened. "They offer respect," he said. "They offer partnership. They treat other species as equals, not as servants. That is something has never done. We do not need to treat anyone as equals. We are the greatest civilization in the galaxy." "We were," the king corrected quietly. "We were the greatest, but greatness is not permanent. It must be earned again and again, and we have stopped earning it." Did not want to hear this. She turned and left her father's chambers, slamming the door behind her. In the months that followed, the situation grew worse. The economy, which had been strong for thousands of years, began to weaken. Resources that had once been cheap became expensive. Goods that had once been common became rare. The common people have started to suffer. Farmers could not sell their crops. Builders could not buy materials. Teachers could not get new books. Everyone was struggling. And everyone wanted to know why. The truth spread slowly, whispered from ear to ear in markets and meeting halls. The humans had come to 7 years ago. They had offered friendship, and Princess had mocked them. She had called them insects. She had laughed at them in front of the entire court. Now the humans were powerful. They were connected. They were respected. And was alone. "This is your fault," the nobles started to whisper. At first they whispered it quietly behind closed doors. Then they whispered it more loudly in hallways and gardens. Then they stopped whispering altogether. "Princess destroyed our future," they said openly. "Her arrogance has ruined us all." Tried to ignore them. She tried to pretend that everything was fine, but the evidence was everywhere. Empty shops, silent spaceports, gardens that were no longer being maintained. One day, she received a message from off-world. It was a news broadcast from the Galactic Network, one of the few channels that still reached. The broadcast showed Ambassador Ho. He was older now, with gray hair and lines on his face, but his eyes were still sharp and clear. He was standing at a podium, addressing a huge crowd of beings from dozens of different species. "Today," he said, "the Human Alliance welcomes 3 new members. The Collective, the Merchant Guilds of, and the Scientific Council of Nexus have all signed treaties of partnership with us." The crowd cheered. The noise was deafening. "This alliance is built on a simple idea," Ho continued. "The idea that every species has value, every culture has something to teach, every people, no matter how young or small, deserves respect." He paused and looked directly at the camera. For a moment, it felt like he was looking right at. "7 years ago, I visited a world where I was told that humans were insects. I was told that our short lives made us worthless. I was told that we had nothing to offer the galaxy." Another pause. The crowd was silent now, listening. "I disagreed. I believed that humanity had gifts to share. And now, thanks to our many friends and partners, we have proven it. Human medicine has cured diseases that killed millions. Human technology has made travel faster and safer. Human art and music have spread to every corner of the galaxy." He smiled. It was a small smile, but it was genuine. "We are not insects, we are humans, and we are here to stay." The broadcast ended, sat in silence, staring at the blank screen. She thought about that day 7 years ago. She thought about the throne room filled with laughing nobles. She thought about the human ambassador standing before her, calm and dignified, while she mocked him. She thought about his final words. "Remember this moment. Remember the day you laughed at humanity, because one day you might wish you had chosen differently." He had been right. He had been right about everything. Did not cry, almost never cried, but she felt something inside her that might have been tears if she had let them fall. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the crystal towers of eternal light still gleamed in the purple sunset, but they seemed dimmer now, less magnificent, less eternal. Everything her people had built over thousands of years was crumbling, not because of war or disaster, but because of pride, because of arrogance, because a 19-year-old princess had thought she was better than everyone else. And now it was time to pay the price. Made a decision. It was the hardest decision of her life, but she knew it was the only way. She would go to Earth. She would find Ambassador Ho, and she would do something that no royal had ever done in the history of the Empire. She would ask for help. Earth was nothing like expected. She had imagined a dirty, crowded world filled with smoke and noise. She had imagined primitive buildings and ugly streets. She had imagined chaos. Instead, she found beauty. The human ship descended through white clouds and saw green forests stretching to the horizon. She saw blue oceans sparkling under a golden sun. She saw cities that blended with nature, their buildings covered in plants and surrounded by parks. It was not crystal towers and floating gardens, but it was beautiful in its own way, warm, alive, full of color. The ship landed at a spaceport outside a city called Seoul. It was one of the oldest cities on Earth, had been told. Humans had lived there for thousands of years, a tiny amount of time by standards, but ancient by human measurement. A small group was waiting for her. At the front stood a man she recognized immediately. Ho. He was 56 years old now, which meant he was entering the final stage of his short human life. His hair was completely white. His face was lined with wrinkles. He walked with a slight slowness that had not been there 7 years ago. But his eyes were the same, sharp, clear, patient. "Princess," he said, bowing slightly, "welcome to Earth." Stood frozen for a moment. She had prepared a speech. She had practiced it during the long journey. But now, standing in front of this man she had called an insect, she could not remember the words. "Ambassador Ho," she finally managed, "I thank you for agreeing to see me." "Of course." His voice was polite, neutral. "Please come inside. We have prepared a room for our meeting." They walked through the spaceport, past crowds of humans who stopped to stare at the tall silver woman in their midst. Children pointed and whispered. Adults tried not to look too curious, felt exposed, vulnerable, the way Ho must have felt walking through her palace all those years ago. The meeting room was simple. A wooden table, some chairs, a window overlooking a garden. Nothing grand, nothing impressive, just a quiet place to talk. Ho sat down on one side of the table, sat on the other. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "I know why you are here," Ho said finally. "I have been watching. I have seen what is happening to your people." Nodded. There was no point in pretending. "We are in trouble. Our economy is failing. Our allies have abandoned us. Our people are suffering. And you want help." Yes, the word felt like a knife in her throat. "I want help." Ho was quiet for a moment. He looked out the window at the garden, where flowers were blooming in a dozen different colors. 7 years ago," he said slowly, "I stood in your throne room and offered friendship. I offered trade. I offered partnership. Do you remember what you said to me?" Closed her eyes. "I remember. You called my people insects. You said we were short-lived and meaningless. You said we had nothing to offer the galaxy. I remember. You laughed at us. Your nobles laughed at us. You sent us away like we were nothing." "I know," his voice was barely a whisper. "I know what I did." Ho turned to look at her. His eyes held no anger, no hatred, just something that looked like sadness. "I could refuse you," he said. "I could send you away the same way you sent me away. Many people think I should. Many of my advisors want revenge." Braced herself. She had expected this. She deserved this. "But I am not going to do that." Looked up in shock. "What?" Ho smiled. It was a small, tired smile. "Princess, I am 56 years old. By your standards, I am already ancient. I have maybe 20 or 30 years left to live. That is nothing. A blink of an eye." He leaned forward. "But in those years, I have learned something important. I have learned that revenge is a waste of time. It does not fix anything. It does not heal anything. It just creates more pain." "But I hurt you," said. "I humiliated you. Yes, you did. And it hurt. It hurt more than I showed. I went home that night and I sat alone in my room and I felt all the anger and shame and sadness that you wanted me to feel." Ho paused. "But then I made a choice. I chose to let go of that pain, not because you deserved forgiveness, but because I deserved peace." "Did not understand. How can you forgive me after everything I did?" "I am not forgiving you because you earned it. I am forgiving you because holding on to anger would only hurt me. It is like carrying a heavy stone. The stone does not feel the weight. Only I feel it." He reached across the table and gently took her hand. His skin was warm and soft, so different from the cool silver of flesh. "Your people are suffering, Princess. Children are going hungry. Families are losing their homes. None of them called us insects. None of them laughed at us in your throne room. Why should they pay for your mistake?" Felt something strange on her face, wetness. She touched her cheek and realized she was crying, almost never cried. She had not cried since she was a small child. "I am so sorry," she said. The words came out in a rush, unstoppable. "I was young and stupid and arrogant. I thought I knew everything. I thought I was better than everyone. I was wrong. I was so wrong." Ho squeezed her hand gently. "I know," he said. I could see it in your eyes even then. You were not evil, you were just young, and the young make mistakes. That is how they learn. Can you really help us, after everything? Yes, we will share our technology. We will open trade routes. We will help your people rebuild. Why? Ho let go of her hand and leaned back in his chair. Because that is who we are. Humans do not have thousands of years to hold grudges. We do not have time for endless wars and ancient hatreds. Our lives are short, so we must make them meaningful. And the most meaningful thing we can do is help others. He stood up and walked to the window. You called us insects. Maybe you were right. Insects do not live very long, but they build things that last for generations. They work together. They take care of each other. And when they are stepped on, they get up and keep going. He turned to look at her one last time. That is what humans do, Princess. We get stepped on and we keep going. And sometimes we reach down and help the person who stepped on us. Stood up, her legs were shaking. Her eyes were still wet with tears. I do not deserve your kindness, she said. No, Ho agreed. But kindness is not about deserving. It is about choosing to be better than we have to be. That is what makes us human. And maybe someday it can make you better too. Nodded slowly. She understood now. She understood what made these short-lived creatures so powerful. It was not their technology or their alliances or their growing empire. It was their hearts. Hearts that chose forgiveness over revenge. Hearts that chose hope over despair. Hearts that burned bright even though they knew their time was short. Princess had called them insects. She had been wrong. They were giants,